Okay, can you see me there?
Yeah, you're singing in the chair. Let me sit
Yeah.
down.
That's a
All
picture.
right.
All right. All right.
Thank you. There you are. Can you see me? Well, I've
How are
learned a lot.
you?
I learned a lot tonight.
Mm-hmm.
So we're
Actually, I
recording
thought
now.
all the while that it was yesterday because, I lose track of the schedule we had.
What
But anyway,
do you want to
mhm.
reschedule, did you say? Or you don't need to reschedule, do you, or do you?
Mhm. That's perfectly fine because I'm not doing anything as of the moment.
Oh, okay. I just hope we have enough time. I hope it
Yes.
doesn't. Right. I learned a lot.
All right. I'm very excited to have a book talk with you.
Yeah. I felt like we've done some good talking just on the chat.
Yes.
Hello everyone, welcome again to my channel, Clark Can. I am very happy to let you know that I got another opportunity to interview another amazing author who's in fact famous in her work, Adele and Tom. Now, allow me to introduce to you our author to be featured for today's book talk. The author is a teacher, activist, and of course a poet, playwright, fiction writer, former TV and radio journalist. She recently published a flash novella, Adele and Tom, The Portrait of a Marriage, published by the Breaking Rule. Ladies and gentlemen, allow me to welcome our amazing author, Chella Courington.
Hi.
Are you ready?
Yeah, I'm ready, Clark. Super
Okay.
ready.
Now we are going to start our book talk with the very first question I prepared here for you. Okay.
Okay,
Now, the
excellent.
first question here is this one. When did you first realize you wanted to be a writer?
Well, I think that this sounds, really like precocious, but I was like 13 and in the 8th grade, and my teacher said, let's write a poem. And we wrote a poem, and she did not select my poem. She selected the poem by the girl who wrote about a white cat and a lost boy. And I was very upset. And then the next time she asked us to write a poem, I wrote about a black cat and a lost girl, and she selected my poem. And since the 8th grade, I just kept writing. Even when I went to college, I thought I wanted to be a poet. And then I realized that I needed to gain more skills, and I got degrees in teaching so that I could support myself as a writer. So that's
Mhm.
sort of the
Wow, you are
beginning
really
of the
very young you
process.
started writing. That's really awesome.
Yeah,
How I wish when I was, at that age, I was a writer.
yeah.
Anyway, for the second question, how long does it take to write a book? I understand that you have, some
Well, it varies. Like when I write pieces individually. And as you said earlier, I'm both a fiction writer and a poet. And I send these pieces out to journals to be published. And
Mhm.
when I put a book together, it's probably after 1 or 2 years of writing individual poems. And then I decide
Mhm.
I need to put these together and have a full book. Or with my flash
Mhm.
fiction, it was after 2 years of writing flash, and I thought, I think I can bring these together and make a novella. So I would say,
Mhm.
in answer to your question, I work individually from the small part, but then it's usually in about a year or 2 years, I decide to bring the work together for a full book.
Yeah, almost all writers, in fact, follow the process of writing, and it really takes time. Okay. And yeah, in your case anyway, what are the two books you actually consider to be the most favorite, or the most significant work of yours?
Well, probably on me and on my writing, the two most influential books would be Virginia Woolf's Mrs. Dalloway and Toni Morrison's Beloved. And
Mhm.
for Mrs. Dalloway, it's it's true, it's the language, and it's her treatment of character. The same is true for Toni Morrison. They're both geniuses, I think, literary geniuses.
Okay, I really anticipate to read your work one day.
Oh,
I'm
great.
so excited and fun to read, Tom and Adele.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll be probably reading that one, maybe, in my next PBR list.
Oh, that would be great. That would be
Yeah.
great.
So like I said, but I've been reading a lot of women's fiction, and I'm sure your work is really, really awesome. Okay, now, can you tell me what the books are all about? Like, the books that
All
you've
right,
written.
I
Okay.
will. And it's interesting to talk about. Mrs. Dalloway was a very innovative and experimental novel when it was first
Mm,
written in the early 20th century. And it takes place within 24 hours of Clarissa Dalloway's life. It opens, Clarissa is going to buy the flowers.
mm,
She's going to have a party that night. And in the space between the opening page and the last page, you learn about several characters: Peter Walsh, Septimus Smith. You get into the minds of these characters and understand what their life was like during World War One. And
mm,
so, and it plays with time, the past, present, and future. She's always skipping around with time. So it's very much of a character interior driven novel. On the other hand, Beloved by Toni Morrison is a ghost story. It's about Beloved who comes back to haunt her mother, but also to haunt the community, because it's largely about the days of slavery and how Setha killed one of her children to protect her from going back into slavery. And the whole novel really presents us a way of understanding an element of American history that's been so vicious and also so determinant of who
mm.
we are as a country. It's wonderful. The story of Seth and Beloved is just a fabulous
Mhm.
ghost story, but it's literary fiction too.
Those are really interesting reads.
Yeah, they're
You
both
have a
like,
way to actually write the story or to, one day read all the work.
right. It's
Now,
fabulous.
for the fifth question, I have read some of the documents you sent me just recently and researched about it. I realized that they are mostly women's fiction. Is this the genre you are more comfortable writing about?
Well, I'm going to call it, yes, I am. But I tell a story from a woman's point of view. I'm a
Yeah,
woman, right?
women's perspective.
So I tell a story, but I wouldn't just call it, I wouldn't call it women's fiction, because it's
Mm,
fiction written for men, women, all sorts of gender identified readers. Uh,
wow.
but it's told from a woman's point of view. And, writers, it's only been within less hundreds of years that we've allowed women to have a point of view, or people of color to have a point of view. So I think I'll always tell my story from a woman's point of view, but I certainly hope my readers are across the board in terms of men and women and
Mhm.
different genders.
Okay, so basically, it's not just about for women, your work. They're also for some sort, for all types of gender or ages as well.
Yeah, yeah. It's just that I tell my story from a woman's point of view, but I have men involved. And for instance, in Adele and Tom, it's Adele and Tom in that
Okay.
relationship.
All right. What is your work schedule like when you are writing? Is
Well,
there a specific pattern?
there are two times of the day that I really prefer writing and love to write. When I first get up in the morning, I like to write for about 2 hours. It's just that kind of liminal period between consciousness and unconsciousness before you're fully awake, before the day interrupts you. And then I like to write in the wee hours of the morning at night when everything is dark and Ted has gone to sleep and the cats are asleep. I feel like somehow the darkness opens up this whole world of creativity.
Mhm.
So those are the two times that I create more, though I do a lot of editing and
Mhm.
submitting and that sort of thing during the day.
Okay. I'm really glad to know that. Now, mm, wow, this is a very interesting question, and I really wanted to, know your answer. What would you say is your interesting writing quirk? Is there a particular writing quirk you have there?
I think there is. I think it has to do with place where I write. And I do most of my writing in the bed. I love to be in the bed. You can pull the covers over. And I think it goes back somehow to my childhood because we always had a certain time we had to go to bed and I had a flashlight and I'd get under the covers and I would read and write.
Mhm.
And I just got used to doing things in the bed. So I do most of my writing with my computer in the bed. So that's kind of
Mhm.
quirky. I
Really
mentioned that to
strange.
other people and they said, no, we always work at our desk. Or
Yeah.
I go down to the coffee shop to work. I can't work at home. And I go, oh, wow, I work in the bed. It's just where I've always been comfortable and I can kind of close out the rest of the world.
Hmm. That's really strange.
That is strange. Isn't that
How is there a specific, writing quirk in your novel? Like, for example, the way you you actually design the plot twist or the theme, something strange. Is
Well,
there anything like that in your work?
I, you mean, I don't know if I'm quite following that question, Clark. You might have to
Mm-hmm,
repeat that.
mm-hmm. Okay, I understand. Now, um, where do you get your information or your ideas for your book? Where
Well,
do you most of the time,
a lot of
get
different
it?
places because originally as a kid, I started writing poetry. I oftentimes use words, musical lyrics, paintings, a photograph. I'll write from a photograph. I'll oftentimes write from my own life. So I use
Mhm,
other visual cues and linguistic cues to get my
mhm,
ideas as well as my own experience. I know you're a poet and you're also a songwriter, so you probably
mhm.
identify with that.
Well, even pictures, you get, some, what do you call that? Inspiration there in photos or whatever it is just around you.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I do. I mean, I just try to draw on all of life around me at the time.
Okay, now I give you the opportunity to promote your book. Our, now, you can have our numbers for our readers here in the Philippines, especially. Feel free.
Oh, something special about my, well, I'm going to show you two of the works that I have recently
Yeah.
done
Take it.
that, well, this is my first novella, Adele and Tom, The Portrait of a Marriage. And this is based a lot on my personal life, but with imaginative scope and imaginative freedom. So it's not really like my life, but my life was a trigger for this. As Ted always says, Tom is a lot meaner than Ted. Ted's a very nice guy. Sometimes Tom has his little tantrums in here. So I think this is a great read. It's what we call auto fiction based on your life. It has short chapters. It's just a great read. And then here's another collection of poetry I'd like to promote, which is In Their Own Way. And it's a collection of 19 poems by Crow Hollow Press. And what I love about this is where I got the title of the book is literally from a Russian writer. So we have this In Their Own Way, and also Adele and Tom, The Portrait of a Marriage. And I can say that on my Facebook page, if listeners or readers would just like to meander there, that I read a chapter or two every week and record it. And then I ask for guest readers, and I've had about 5 guest readers. So that's been fun for me.
Okay, thank you so much for this wonderful time you've spent with us.
Well,
Yeah.
Clark,
I will be keeping in touch with you to the publication of this, book talk that we have. Yes, I really enjoyed this interview with you. It's really an opportunity to, be given the chance to have a book talk with one of the wonderful writers in the world.
oh,
Okay.
thank you. Thank you. This has been so wonderful.
Yeah.
So shall
All right.